What's going on, everybody? Dustin here, back with another video. Listen, I wanted to talk to you all today about this economy stuff that's going on, and a couple new things that I didn't realize, and just chop it up with you real quick. So, listen, here's the deal. We have, first of all, I wanted to say that we have companies like Ford now giving their customers the employee pricing, which essentially puts the customers in a good position to not feel the need to negotiate as much, I guess, because they essentially are getting employee pricing, having thousands of dollars knocked off their vehicles. Ford wants to do this thing that they call a timeout for their customers, and really just get back to America and what the American vehicle resembles. And the whole point of this is the ethics that go behind that as well. The pricing, because the price gouging is real. And it was something that I didn't realize how real. But ultimately, if we have tariffs, it's going to affect the price of vehicles by a few $1,000s. So that's something that we really have to consider. We originally had the chip shortage with COVID, so that's a big deal. But so Ford is just one example. It's not all about the automakers. It's about the products and where they're being made, and us keeping them made in the US and what that essentially means. So we're trying to get more people to buy US product or the name that stands behind it, you know, and Ford has always been an American name, and that's an example that they're trying to push. They're saying, hey, we want to get back to that staple. We're the American car brand. We're the American way. Originally the Model T, it was the car of America. That's what it had always resembled when it originally first came off the assembly line. And Henry Ford, or whatever the hell his name is, who made the Model T, um, really just that at that point it put a symbol on America that said we really stand behind what we make, and we're going to create something that we haven't created before out of nothing. So, getting into more about stuff and where it's made. So, essentially, what I didn't realize about this whole tariff situation is the more that it costs to buy something in the US, we think of that as a bad thing. But usually when I think cost, I think quality. So maybe something more expensive, at least in a perfect economy, a perfect sense, should be giving you or providing more value. Maybe you have something that's just higher quality. You're getting more of a better product or service in a longer amount of time, so it might cost more. And then there's just plain old ways to spread the cost out. If it's a flat rate, yearly, weekly, monthly, we have all these subscription services, that we subscribe to that give us a set dollar amount, or like car insurance. They might give you a discount if you if you pay for it for the year up front versus paying every month. And this is what we have to think about, guys. We have to think about that money, that extra money that these items are going to cost to have made in the US. That money stays in the US. So however many dollars, if it costs $10 or $15 to purchase it, you know, because it's made in China, and China's getting like 10 of that 15 and the US is keeping 5, that this is something we have to think about. If it costs 25 to buy a US product and all of that 25 is staying in the States, then we're winning, because even if we're in a recession, even if we are charging more money, we're keeping the money in the US. And that is going to make our dollar go further, because when somebody asks, hey, we live in the US, where can we find $5? Well, it's just going to be down the street. It's going to be ours for the taking, as far as going out and being able to obtain that money easily, with our work and the effort we put in, you know, through business and such. It's going to be easier for us to get that money back. So, and we have all kinds of stuff that goes into this. We have healthcare that's expensive, and all these insurances, and it seems that there's higher cost now for the short term. It's just hard to me and for me to figure out where this is going long term. I get it. We're essentially keeping the money in the US that we need to stay alive and keep ourselves afloat. And that was one thing that I learned this past year, is like, okay, I had always looked for like the next thing that's going to keep me afloat, like financially, right? You know what I mean? The next job, the next paycheck, we do it all the time in the States. And we always want that next thing, that next payout, that next one up, that next bonus, that next raise, that next vehicle. There's always more, more, and more. And I'm beginning to realize that ultimately what I didn't know was we can change the whole dynamic and go out and get it, and go out and earn it for ourselves, versus signing off with a company, and being completely reliant on that company. You know, if we can figure out a way to maximize our earnings by doing things our way on our time, yeah, it might take a really, really long time. It might take a lot of time, and you might be on your hands and knees scrubbing floors for your customers and this and that. But listen, guys, at the end of the day, it's earnings. And like, there are days I feel like, okay, I didn't eat enough, I didn't sleep enough, but I'm doing things right. I'm keeping that American backbone that I always wanted, within that work ethic. So, as effed up as it may seem right now, you know, as much as it may seem like, yeah, maybe there's a hiring freeze. Maybe they say jobs are up, but I don't see anyone being hired for these platforms, these jobs. You have to create your own platforms. You know what I'm saying? Like if you do bulk pickup and you have a truck and you pick up like salvageable like items for people, just stuff to take to the dump, um, and you charge a flat rate, let's say $50. you know Nobody in their right minds is really going out and doing that. There's a lot of people who would say, hey, I have a ton of stuff you can get rid of, let's just get rid of it. you know Maybe they don't have the time to do a yard sale. They're not interested in that quick buck. It just means more to them to have the space, and maybe they aren't willing to pay the 50, and you have to work them down and say, okay, what are you willing to pay? This is, I usually charge a flat rate. This is what I do, per mile, blah blah blah. But what pained me was a lot of people were willing to do stuff for free. So you have to go out and search for, if you're willing to do it for free to start out, that's great. But you eventually want to get to the point where you're making a buck. You want to get to finding an area where people are willing to say, look, I have a lot of stuff that I need to get rid of, and this is it. So yeah, guys, I mean, we have to find our own like niche. We have to find our own way to compensate for, like, almost like what we're being, how do I put this, what we're being cheated out of, like, as much as like inflation is like cheating us out of like the money we deserve. You know what I'm saying? You have to like go out and like get that back, because inflation's not going to hand it back to you. You have to sit down with yourself and really be honest and say, look, this is how much time I have in a day. Like, I have no time at all. What am I willing to do with every hour, every minute, every second of every day? Is it going to mean that you're going to get home later and you're going to have a late dinner, and then you're going to have to let your food digest and go right to bed? Maybe get a quick shower in there, shave or whatever. These are the things you have to sacrifice and think about. To me, it's all about the earnings in that grand scheme of things, if that's your route that you're going to take. And if you're really built for it, you're trying to push and grow financially, you have to push it and you have to grow, and it's about the earnings. And there will be more opportunities that come your way. But I always sit down and ask myself, I say, what if I had 24 hours a day, every day, to make money exactly how I wanted? And let's just say, and what if you had that opportunity? Let's just say you had the opportunity to make money successfully. Let's say it worked out every day. It could be small amounts of money. Let's say it's like $50 a job, right? Or whatever it is. If you're doing the bulk trash pickup, you're doing the haul away service, right? As one of many side hustles, or, I hate that term side hustle. I don't like that. It's your bread and butter at the end of the day. It's your business. It's your, like, I get it, guys. Like, a lot of these aren't LLCs, but a lot of them are your business at the end of the day. There are tax write-offs. There are incentives for you to do these jobs. So you have to think about what is really going on as far as what you're willing to do. And you can get like 5 or 6 different things on a daily basis that really bring that bread in, and try and maintain that. As long as it's bringing something in for you, I feel like that has the most value to it. And I play this game with myself to try and figure out, like, and I end up running out of time, of course, we all do, trying to figure out ways that we can earn, right? And sure, investing is one way, but you got to have something to invest at the end of the day. For now, you know, I'm talking about providing and having that income. So, but guys, there's, the sky's the limit. So do what makes you happy. Do something you enjoy. Like, I'm starting to realize that no matter what I do, there's going to be like stresses along the way. But there are things that I also just flat out enjoy doing. Um, and your work's going to speak for itself. If you're completely terrible at something you really want to do, get better at it. Find a way to stay consistent in that sense. Like, my goal yesterday, I kept telling myself, my goal yesterday was to be able to do less, like, not less, be able to do, basically make less more for myself. So do less work while achieving more at the end of the day. Let's say I did 5 things, and it's like those 5 things brought me way further than like 18 on a normal basis would have, because they were the things that truly mattered. I just kind of cut the clutter out for a second and was honest with myself, and I'm like, look, this is where I need to be at today, and I got there, guys. At the end of the day, I mean, literally 11:59 hit, and it was like, boop, that deposit was made, and I did what I needed to do to get the job done, and that's what counts. Because a lot of these corporations aren't looking out for you. A lot of them they're really just out to keep an eye on themselves, if we can be honest with each other at the end of the day. That's why I go back to saying, make sure you're taking care of yourself. Like, you can be um, always looking out for yourself. You can be a W-2 employee and a 1099 employee. That's what I'm saying. Like, don't, like, if you have to do that consulting job, or you have to do, if you're a lawyer and you have to do that, among other things, do it for sure. But make sure you're maintaining like a foundation of relationship, there. Even the people that you don't fully connect with, make sure that they know you're trying to reach out in the sense of like understanding. Like, y'all can meet in the middle and build and grow together, even though you're not super close. And I think that work relationship, is kind of, that dynamic is good. But then, with your business and your money, your time, you have to ultimately make the best of that. Make the good experiences good experiences. The bad ones, look, you do everything you can, and you just move on from there. At the end of the day, your customers are being taken care of either way. So That's what you have to constantly consider. Are these customers happy with the service? Yes, they are. Well, if your customer satisfaction rating is 100%, then you got nothing to worry about. Maybe you're going to sleep easy at night. And there's all kinds of benefits that come with that, guys. I hope one day that this YouTube channel will gain so much traction that I'll be able to reach you all out there in the real world, and that you all will heed my rants and listen to what I have to say. I don't know much of anything. I'm just here to connect with you guys, and I know just as much as you do, but we are in this together, and I want to share this journey with you guys, and I want to be a part of your journey. So, I'm gonna end this video here, guys. I love you all so much, and just some things to think about. I've been on shutdown mode. I haven't really been uploading as much lately, but I've really ultimately been focusing on my time and really just how that can make me money lately. Um, I wish YouTube was really just that source of income for me full time. That was always my dream, guys. It's still one of many dreams of mine, but we have to build this platform up. And that involves me reaching out to all of you. And I hope you all can take something from this video, as much as it's kind of a vlog style, as much as it's kind of a rant. We're being real on this channel, guys, and that organic matter, that organic material, that foundation we were talking about, that relationship has got to be there at all times. And that is what my channel is about. It's not about getting all the facts right and knowing everything and making more than everybody else. That's not what it's about. It's about connecting with people. And ultimately, listen, I have people in my family who are communication majors. And one thing that I've learned from them, just off of a projecting experience from being around them, is that you have to communicate efficiently and you have to connect with people. And look, I love you guys so much. I'm going to get off this video, but take heed to what I'm saying. There's value in it, I promise. And you guys have yourself a great weekend, and I will see you all in the next video. Peace.